Hey, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to say call on Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakak Wadash, coming back at you with all praise, no, giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the God of Gods. There ain't no other God besides him. And only the ones he made, which is Yahweh Shai, the holy angels, and the lower level, the lower gods, which are the Israelites on earth. And other than that, there ain't no other gods that he made beside him. Coming back at you with much love to the children of Israel, the chosen among Israel, which the title is about to be about, and whoever they may be among the children of Israel. Much love to the beautiful brothers that's in the Word, that's in the New Covenant, and they do everything in their power, which is the new covenant people, which they do everything in their power to show Yahweh Shem Shah that they love him and they worship him, and they do everything in their power to spread the word and to be on the highways and byways, showing Yahweh Shem Shah that they fear him and they love him. And much love to the beautiful Akwaf, the beautiful women that's in the word, and whether you got a man or not, you still fear the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, and you listen and you learn in silence to the best of your abilities. Um, haven't been on the highways and byways in like a week. I took a break. I'm gonna be honest. I'm on my second week, so I just decided to do one in the house. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not perfect. Sometimes we can be like that. Like they said, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. I'm not as good as the prophets, or as concentrated as the prophets, but I do believe, and I do get out there. I get out there a lot, but sometimes I do falter. We all fall short of the glory of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. I'm not perfect. I'm gonna be honest on that. You got your lazy moments. Yeah, this is a lazy moment. I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. So today's title is kind of awkward, but today's title is you're not getting any powers. That's today's title. That is today's title. So now this photo is from this movie that's going around. I guess this is the Great Separation 2, or even the Great Separation 1. And this movie got a lot of our people that don't believe in Yahweh, a lot of the 2/3 that they gonna get superpowers from uh, uh, a cosmic event from the sun, and they believe that the sun is Yahweh Shai. They believe that the sun is Yahweh Shai because of a lot of our people and a lot of white people that are digging and connecting Egyptian mythology to the Bible. So now you got our people that's doing the same thing that they was doing in the past and the future, worshiping the sun. So now we're gonna get a couple of these Bible scriptures on what the Lord got to say about these people worshiping the sun. I do believe it's in the book of Ezekiel. Let me check it out. I went from 200 and something. Did you know? Okay, so it says, and he, this is Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 16, and it says, and he brought me into the inner court of Yahweh's house. And behold, at the door of the temple of Yahweh, between the porch and the altar, there were about 25 men. It says, with their backs toward the temple of Yahweh and their faces toward the east, and they worship the sun toward the east. So let me get the chapter real quick.
We could start from the top, Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 1. It says, "And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, and the 5th day of the month, as I sat in mine house," it says, "and the elders of Judah sat before me, that the hand of Yahweh fell there upon me." It says, "And then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as the appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins even downward, fire, and from his loins even upward." It says, "as the appearance of brightness, as the color of amber." It says, and he put forth the form of a hand, and took me by a lock of my head, and the spirit lifted me up between the earth and heaven. It says, and brought me in the visions of Yahweh to Jerusalem, to the inner door of the inner gate that looketh toward the north. This is where was the seat of the image of jealousy, and which provoketh to jealousy. And behold, the glory of Yahweh of Israel was there, according to the vision that I saw in the plain. Then he said unto me, Son of man, lift thine eyes now the way toward the north. So I lifted up mine eyes the way toward the north, and beheld, and behold, northward at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy in the entry. It says, he said furthermore unto me, Son of man, seest thou what they do? It says, the great abominations that the house of Israel committeth here, that I should go far that I should go far off from my sanctuary. It says, but turn yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations. And he brought me toward the door of the court. It says, and when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. It says, then he said unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I had digged in the wall, behold, a door. It says, and he said unto me, go in and behold the wicked abominations that they do there. It says, so I went and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things and abominable beasts and all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the wall around about. So they worshiped animals, they worshiped other gods, they worshiped everything, and it was all on the image and of the face of the Israelites. So it says, and there stood there before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel. In the midst of them stood in Jazaniah, the son of Shaphan, with every man his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. Then he said unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients of the house of Israel do in the dark, every man in the chamber of his imagery? If they say, the Lord seeth us not, it says, Yahweh hath forsaken the earth, meaning that Yahweh sees everything. So it's a lot of the Israelites that's within the Israelite community, the Hebrew Israelite community, and without, which is in the Israelite Hebrews that are in Christianity, that is misleading and teaching the people, our people, the wrong things, and the things that they do, that they commune with the enemies in the dark, and they get paid to lead our people astray. So it says, he also said unto me, turn thee ye yet again. It says, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do. It says, then he brought me to the door of the gate of Yahweh's house, which was toward the north. And behold, there sat a woman weeping for Tammuz. I don't know who that is. It says, then he said unto me, hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abomination than these. So this woman was worshiping another god. She was worshiping a false idol and crying and weeping over it, and loving it. And it was just an object. Most likely it was. It says, and he brought me unto the inner court of Yahweh's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of Yahweh, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men. It says, with their backs toward the temple of Yahweh, and their faces toward the east, and they worship the sun toward the east. It says, then he said unto me, hast thou seen this, O son of man? Is it a light thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abominations which they commit here. It says, for their no, for they have filled their land with violence and have returned to provoke me to anger, and lo, they put the branch to their nose. It says, therefore I will also deal in fury, my eye shall not spare, neither will I have pity, and even though they cry in my ears with a loud voice, I will not hear them. So this is what a lot of the Israelites are doing. The same thing that they did back then, they do now. And most likely this was a vision for Ezekiel to see in the future. Now, Ezekiel was the one who had powers and was the one chosen by Yahweh. And such as the other prophets that are titled throughout the whole Bible, a lot of these books are named after their very names. So, with that being said, with these, let's go to another book. So like, like they, what I was saying, no, for the Israelites that are, the chosen, they are the same as they might be the same guys that was from the Bible, and the titles like Noah, Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, whose name is Israel. Our forefathers are here on back again. Samson, King David, what's his name, Jonah, Paul, James, the other 12 disciples, maybe even Judas Iscariot, even though he probably got cut out of the image, they're all here, So this is another picture of them pointing to the Son, talking about the Son is God, and the Son is going to give them powers to overthrow their enemies. And that is not canon. That is not in the Bible. The Son is actually an object. The Son is actually an object that will give light and give signs upon the earth. We can get that one. That's a good one. It says Luke chapter 21, verse 25. And it says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, which with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. So that is that's one of the purposes of the sun. This is Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 26 through 29. It says, for among my people are found wicked men. They lie wait as he that setteth snares. It says, they set a trap, they catch men. As a cage full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. It says, therefore they are become great and waxen rich. So it's guys that's within the Hebrew Israelite community and without in the Christian community that are getting rich off the lies and off the deception and off the misguided teachings of the children of Israel, and even the guys that are not in Christianity, because this is an Egyptian mythology. And according to the Bible, the Egyptians, according to Yahweh, the Egyptians enslaved the children of Israel. And when it came to the Testament to see who gods were real, to see if Thoth or to see if King Anubis would arise from the underworld to combat Yahweh himself, none of the gods were found, and none of the gods can save the Egyptians, or the spirits that they summon can save them from the Lord's plagues that he set upon them in order to set the Israelites free. The only one that actually came out to challenge Yahweh was the Pharaoh himself, and he paid greatly, but he still challenged the Lord and still went after the children of Israel and was destroyed by the great Red Sea when Yahweh gave Moses the power to split the water. So with that being said, the wickedness is very great, and as you can see, the kid is pointing towards the sun and saying that's the Son of God. And all of these people, all of our people, started getting powers while unaffected by the sun coming to the earth. And the Edomites, which are the white people, they started to become greatly afflicted by the sun. Now this is actually canon, but in a sort of way, the environment is changing to be against them, because the Edomites have scattered throughout the whole world, and they dwelling in places where the sun is 10 times hotter than what it's supposed to be. So they break out in different diseases, they break out in radiation because their bodies don't contain the proper melanin for them to survive in that type of temperature. So they belong in colder and more frozen environments where it could preserve their skin. Places like Russia, places somewhere in the interior of the earth underground, places that are cool, dark areas that can actually that won't scorch their pale skin because their skin was so fragile, but they pretty much, the Edomites pretty much kind of adapted a little bit to the best that they could, but the environment is becoming more and more hot, as you can see, for right now on our side of the hemisphere, in certain parts of our side of the earth, in Vegas, May hit, and it started becoming hotter ahead of time. So it was like on and off, and then most of the time it was hot, and then we got certain moments where you get kind of still feel the spring there, but at the same time it's just gone. And there's pretty much been summer since May. So, we got all the way May, June, July, August, September, and then October and November. And when November come around, that's when everything starts to cool down. And that's maybe if it starts to cool down, especially here in Vegas and between Vegas and California. It could be other places too that's actually heating up early, and it's kind of not a good sign, for the Edomites. But at the same time, they don't really care, but it's just something that is good to pay attention to, and it's good to focus on. But nonetheless, as you can see, the child is pointing to the Son of God. And this is not so. So we could go to the beginning of Genesis. Let me see. It says, in the beginning, the Yahweh created the heavens and the earth. And now the earth was formless. And then if you go into God, it means Elohim. And then Elohim means chief or the powers. So you had Yahweh Shai. You had Yahweh, which is God Almighty, create Yahweh Shai. And then Yahweh Shai created the powers, which were the chosen of Israel. Pretty much, they were the chosen, and the rest of the archangels that were created to help him create the universe and help him create the world. So, and if you read the book of, I do believe, the Bereshith, the Torah, the Bereshith, it actually re-breaks this down to Elohim, which means chief or powers. So Yahweh Shai is the chief. You got Yahweh, which is the leader. Then you got Yahweh Shai, which is his general. And then you got the army, which is the chosen, and the archangels that are in heaven in the beginning. So it says, now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the face of the deep, and the spirit of Yahweh was hovering over the waters. And it said, and God said, or Yahweh Shai said, or Yahweh, it says, let there be light, and there was light. And Yahweh saw the light that it was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. It says, Yahweh called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and the morning was the first day. So there is light, and separated from the darkness, which is true. So without the sun and the moon, that was even before they existed, the light and the darkness was there. So it says, and Yahweh said, let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water. So when you look up in the sky, you have the first sea, which is the firmament. And then when you look down, if you happen to be by a beach or something like that, you'll see the second sea, which is on the earth. So it says, so Yahweh made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it, and it was so. And God called the vault sky, and there was an evening, and there was the morning. That was the second day. So this first day was 1,000 years. The second day is 1,000 years. Very easy. So it says, and Yahweh said, let the water under the sky gather to one place, and let the dry ground appear. And it was so. And Yahweh called the dry ground land. And he gathered waters. He gathered the waters he called seas. And Yahweh saw that it was very good. So it says, then Yahweh said, let land produce vegetation, seeds-bearing plants, trees, and the land that bear fruit with seed in it according to their various kinds. And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit according to their kinds. And Yahweh saw that it was good, and there was evening, and there was morning, the third day. Now here come the sun and the moon. It says, and Yahweh said, let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as lights to mark the sacred time. So when the Lord said, let the light separate the darkness. Wait, let me get that right. No, the light separate the darkness as their own entities. It says, and Yahweh said, let there be lights in the vaults of the skies to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years, and let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth. And it was so. Yahweh made two great lights, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser night to govern the night. He also made the stars. Yahweh set them in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And Yahweh saw that it was good. And the evening and in the morning was the fourth day. So on the 4,000 year during the process of creation, then comes the sun and the moon. And that is their purpose. So, with that being said, they worship the sun because they feel like that is an eternal spirit that can be seen with physical eyes. So they be like, well, we worship this, so I guess this is God. And it makes sense because the Egyptians worship the sun and they called it God. But at the same time, how they going to worship the sun and then they worship Thoth, which this intelligent man with a bird head, and they worship these entities, and the sun is just the sun, and the and the sun does its purpose. It's not God. It's not the Son of God. Its purpose is to give light and to show signs and to help the plants and to keep your melanation preserved. That's it. And these people is taking it all out of context, and they taking it too far. Now they got our people actually believing that the Son of God, and they try to click it with Egyptian mythology, talking about the Son of God, and then they talk about the moon being the devil, when there is no angelic adversary. There is no angelic adversary. There is no devil to help the paradigm. The only devil is the one that's on the earth. That's the physical counterpart of the dragon, which is, the angel Satan. But that's it. Other than that, that's it. That's it. So it's like when you get these people that says that they not canon, it's not true. Let me see. And this is right here. This is Matthew chapter 16. Chapter 16, verse 4. It says, "And a wicked and a adulterous generation that seeketh after a sign, and there shall be no sign given unto it but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And he left them and departed." Meaning that the only sign you're going to get now is the sign of the prophets and the street prophets and the prophets on the internet that's telling you the true name of Yahweh, which is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and his son is Yahweh Shai, and the powers, and who you are, and the other signs are already passed. So the only sign that they gonna get is the sign of Jonah. So, oh, my arm, it hurts. So that's it. And if you notice, they make it seem like that is the end times, is when all of the Israelites get their powers back. Now, let's get that preset. And this is Exodus 32, chapter 9. And Yahweh said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people, people that don't listen, people that don't care. This is Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 18 through 20. It says, When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not a warning, no, speak up to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life. The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will be required at their hands. So it's the Israelites' job, the ones that know, to tell the Israelites, the ones that don't know, who they are. So it says, Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. Meaning that the more people that we tell, the more we deliver ourselves. It says, and again, when the righteous man do turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die, because thou hast not given him a warning. He shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which he have done shall not be remembered, but his blood will I require at thy hand. So that's for the Israelites that's not doing their part. They don't go to the highways and byways. They don't post videos. They don't do anything to try and reach out to the Israelites to try their best to help them and learn who they are and learn who Yahweh is. Them the ones that the Lord is talking about. They don't pray. They don't do anything. And if they do believe, they don't do nothing. That is the ones that the Lord is talking about. It says, many up shall be purified and made white and tried. It says, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. So you're talking about not just our enemies, but our people. But our people, because they don't believe and they don't care, and they don't believe in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, but they want to be granted spiritual power. And they was talking about that. Well, it's a time in a day to where the sun is going to release these ultraviolet rays that's going to give them powers to overthrow the kingdom. And they trust more in the sun than they do in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And this is due to the confusion of the Egyptian mythology that relates itself, or that make the Bible relate all the ideas from the Egyptians. And they no longer even in power. They don't even have world dominance. They're just a part of the 18 nations now. And to this day, the Egyptian pyramids don't even work anymore. They're just monuments of the Egyptians in a past civilization when they were at their prime. So that means that their gods don't exist. That means that they ideology is false. It says, a little that a righteous man hath is better than the riches of the many wicked. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord shall uphold the righteous. That's the chosen. That's the ones that believe. That's the ones that's in the new covenant. Not all of the children of Israel shall be saved or be taken care of. And the ones that have everything and have all the abundance that they can have, they aren't even in consideration of Yahweh. They're not. So let me go to that one right there. That Bible scripture just hit me in the head. This is King James, Zechariah chapter 13, and I'll start at 1. It says, in that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and uncleanliness. And this fountain is the truth that's coming out of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that's given to Yahweh Shai, sent down to the angels and given to the prophets, which are the chosen, that will give the Israelites the information that they need. Let them know who they are, let them know who their God is, and let them know about the new covenant and to return home. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols of the land, and they shall no more be remembered. And also I will cause the prophets and the unclean spirit to pass out of the land. And it shall come to pass that when any shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, thou shalt not live, for thou speak of lies in the name of Yahweh. And his father and his mother that begat him shall trust him through when he prophesieth. And it shall come to pass that in that day that the prophets shall be ashamed every one of his vision when he hath prophesied, neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive, but he shall say, I am no prophet, I am no husbandman, for man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. And one shall say unto him, what are these wounds in thy hands? Then he shall answer, those with which I was wounded in the house of my friends. So this is for misguided prophets. This is for people that's been teaching they own people lies and deceptions, and this is what they learned out of the world. So this is all this ideology and all of this stuff about these Egyptian mythology, about the sun and the moon and the son of God, and the many comparisons and the false breakdowns of what these people have connected to the Bible are lies. And this is one of the many roads that if you misread the Bible, then it can lead you down this road. It can. So it says, the shepherd, okay, that's not it. It says, awake, O sword, against my shepherd. It says, against the man, and against the man that is my fellow, saith Yahweh. It says, a hour of hosts. It says, smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little ones. And it shall come to pass that in the land, saith Yahweh, two parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third part shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and refine them as silver is refined, and try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh is my God. So with that being said, that's already happening. A lot of us is going through the fire through our different walks of life. The Lord is cleaning up our lives through faith, mind, body, and spirit, giving us the knowledge that we need to take care of our bodies, no longer eating the things that we usually eat, actually helping us clean out those other spirits that are remaining within us and to become fully clean and come into the new covenant as well, So with that being said, the rest of these Israelites that's talking about they're going to get all these powers is the ones that the Lord is going to smite because they don't believe in him. They don't. They don't care about Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. They don't believe in him. All they care about is themselves and what they believe in. And what they believe in is causing a deception because this deception that's growing and this movie or whatever is going around is a worldly ideology. And it wouldn't be no surprise that the ancient Egyptians thought that back in the past too. And they didn't get no powers. They didn't get any of that. They was using witchcraft and all kind of drugs to receive different messages from spirits that was meant to deceive them. So, and I'll show you one last picture. Right here, these are the ones that's gonna get the powers. The prophets, they gonna get the powers, and probably some of the lower Israelites are gonna get the powers. The chosen are gonna get the powers. Period. Point blank. In general, these are his chosen. They always in the pictures. It's gonna be mainly the men. The Bible doesn't say that the woman is gonna receive power. It says that Jacob is gonna receive power, so he's referring to the man. Even in some Bible precepts, he's referring to the man when he says daughters of Israel and such and such. This is I do believe, this is John. John, he had powers too. He had a lot of power. And his disciple was chosen too. He had powers too. And these are the type of people that are going to receive the spiritual power from Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And then it's going to be mostly the same, and then you're going to get a couple of the new prophets that's going to get powers too. But it's going to be mostly the same people, the ones that serve Yahweh in their past lives and that, went hard for the truth and spreaded the word is going to get power. So, and then you got those of us that are low level, Israelites that are below the prophets, but we still believe. And it's a possibility we might get power because like the Lord said, he who helps a prophet receives a prophet's reward. So, tithings, you have in your faith, sometimes a lot of us ain't meant to be on the front lines or the highways and byways. Or you got those of us, people like me, that's not all the way perfect, but we do have a good amount. We do have a good amount of faith. We do care about the Lord. We do believe, and we do, and we are trying to clean ourselves and change ourselves, and the Lord is helping us. We got a better chance of receiving the power than the rest of the multitude of the 2/3. They're not going to receive the power.
They're not going to receive anything. All they're going to receive is a beatdown. And we can get that precept real quick too. Where is that? No, that's not it. It says, this is Baruch chapter 4, verse 15. It says, let no man rejoice over me, a widow, and forsaken of many, who for their sins of my children I am left desolate, because they departed from the law of Yahweh. They knew not his statutes, nor walked in his ways of his commandments, and trod in the paths of discipline and righteousness. Let them that dwell about Zion come, and remember ye the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting have brought upon them. It says, for he hath brought upon a nation from afar, a shameless nation, and a strange language, who neither reverenced old man and nor pity child. It says, they have carried away the dear beloved children of the widow, and left her that was alone and desolate without daughters. But what can I help you? For he hath brought these plagues upon you, will deliver you from the hands of your enemies. So this ain't got nothing to do with that. But ultimately, that what happened to Israel, the rest of the 2/3, they became a strange nation, just like the rest of the nations, which the Lord doesn't perceive and he does not understand. And a lot of these Israelites are like that. You got the YNs, you got the prostitutes, you got the killers, you got the criminals, you got the ones that worship other doctrines, you got the ones that believe in different spiritualities, you got ones that deal with magic, you got a lot of the Israelites that deal with money, you got a lot of Israelites that abuse their power, a lot of Israelites that are traitors, and then the worst of them all, like I said, the ones that indulge in different spiritualities that's misguiding our people and leading them to damnation. So, they not getting no powers. The only ones that's getting powers is the chosen, and it's the usual runner-ups like Moses, like Abraham, like Jonah, like Samson, Paul, what Ezekiel, what's his name? Jeremiah. Um,
I forgot his name. There's another guy. Abednego, Meshach, and Tubal, I do believe, the three sacred Israelite children that were thrown into the fire. Uh, Daniel, there you go. One of them was named Daniel, and a story about the lion's den and how he was untouched. These are the usual guys that are going to get spiritual power, and then you got other prophets that are suitable for the power, but the rest of these wicked 2/3 and the rest of these Israelites that say they're gonna get the power, they're not getting nothing. They're all they gonna do is be destroyed by their enemies and overcome by their enemies, while the chosen is gonna be saved, and those of them that are a part of the new covenant is gonna be saved and protected from that. So, I just wanted to clarify that because I seen this on a video, no, on a reel on Instagram, and it made me laugh because it's not canon. That's not canon, and that's not true. And that's not what's going to happen. They done put a date on it in the past, and it never happened. To where the sun was going to shoot out these ultraviolet rays that was going to give all the black people powers. And it's like, why would the Lord give you all powers and none of you, a good majority of y'all, aren't even a part of the new covenant? You don't believe in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You don't believe in anything, but he's going to give you powers to overthrow and to take over kingdoms. You're going to do the same thing that you did in your past life. You're going to be evil. You're going to be wicked. You're not going to care. You still gonna do the same thing that you're doing. Like I said, gangbanger gonna be a super gang member with powers. You're gonna have a prostitute that's gonna be a prostitute with powers. You're gonna have a woman beater that's gonna be beating his women to death, and he's gonna have powers. You're gonna have these YNs, and these YNs gonna be flying in the sky with guns, shooting everybody and killing their own at war with each other, and they have powers. Ridiculous. That's not accurate. That's not canon. Those are the people that the Lord is going to destroy, and they gonna have the prophets destroy them, like they said in the Bible. The fishers that tried to call the sisters and the brothers in, they gonna become the hunters. So, I would want to be against them when this time comes. And it will come. It's just taking time. All things do. Yahweh got a time and a place for everything. So it's just that everything is just a waiting game, a game of preparation, and to get yourself together and to be clean, to be vigilant, clean yourself up, mind, body, and spirit, get on a diet, cast off all that old junk food and all that to the best that you can, get your mind right, get your mind into the Bible, get your spirit right, clean your spirit, try to clean your spirit and stay away from sinful things the best that you can. As much temptation as they have, you can fight that, fight that to the best of your ability. So, that's just my message to the rest of the Israelites. It's just ridiculous. You guys are not getting any powers. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is not the sun. God is not the sun. The moon is not the devil. The Egyptian mythologies do not matter. Okay? They are not accurate. If they were accurate, then the Hamites would still be the superpower of the world, and they would have all the powers, and they would be immortal gods, and they're not. They're just a part of the 18 nations now. And make matters worse, the forerunners of Egypt, are a lighter skin color. They're white. So it's just like the original Hamites that run Egypt, the Egyptians, they're not even on the forefront. The white man is. So it's just like, with that being said, they are totally destroyed, and they're not coming back into power. And therefore, if they're not in power, and on top of that, they're not their ideology and their religion is not even the top 3 religions of the world. You got Muslims, you got Islam, no, you got Christianity, and then you have I do believe Indian, I forgot, Hindus, I do believe. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but it's only 3 top religions of the world, and all these religions are false. You don't even hear Egyptian mythology that got anything to do with it. It doesn't matter. Even if you could connect it all to the Bible, yeah, that's because the Edomites, they took a lot of beliefs from the Egyptians and tried to indoctrinate in the Bible, which made it hard, and it didn't make no sense at all. Because of the way of the Bible is designed, it wasn't even meant for the world. It was only meant for a chosen few. And the Bible was actually a secretive book that was coded so it can get back to the hands of the Israelites, and they would be understand it. And like it says, the elect accepted it and the rest were blinded. That's exactly what's going to happen. So, when these great catastrophes do take place, these Israelites, they will suffer and they will burn for all that they've done. And they never came to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. They never came to the Lord. And like I said, they think that the Son is God because it is eternal spirit that you can see. But its only purpose is to give light on the earth and to show signs, just like the moon. And that's all that they've ever did. Everything is commanded by the word. And if it's commanded by the word, that is their purpose. The moon come up, and sometimes the moon come up with the sun. So if the moon coming up with the sun, that means that the sun and the moon don't govern the night and day. It doesn't. It doesn't. The night and day are their own thing. The light and the darkness is its own thing. That's why you'll see the moon coming up with the sun. And that doesn't mean that the moon is going to come up with the sun and they're going to start fighting. No, that means that they do not govern the light and the darkness. They don't. So with that being said, that right there is not canon. None of it is canon. The only thing that's canon is Yahweh Shem Yahushai and Yahushai and his chosen people, and his chosen people are compelling the rest of the Israelites to come into the new covenant so they can be protected. If you're not in the new covenant, then you're not going to be protected, and most likely you're going to be destroyed with the rest of these wicked Israelites who believe in everything, and they don't believe in the truth, and the truth has passed them by many times. Many times over. It says, and the gospel shall be preached around the world and be a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come. So everybody knows about the street Israelites. Everybody know about the Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Everybody knows that. It's just that name ain't being pushed because that's the real name. They pushing all the other names and all the other ideologies and counterparts. False counterparts to the names of the Lord, and they not pushing his name. And his name is the real name. His son's name is the real name. So it's like they're not getting no powers. And with that, calling Yahweh Shem Shai by Shem Kakwadash, I'm gonna do another video. And soon, or I'm gonna be on the highways and byways next week for sure. I guess this is like my break time. The spirit ain't really on me like that, but the spirit came on me to do this video, and it was just to laugh at what these wicked Israelites think. Then they think wickedly, and it's wrong. Oh, the Lord ain't gonna give you no powers. The Son ain't gonna give you no powers neither. What kind of? But they think the Son is God. That's dumb. That's real dumb. And with that, calling Yahweh Shem Shai, it's on to the next episode.